At the airport, my sister slapped me so hard that every conversation around us stopped. People stared. Security froze. And my parents, who were standing right there, said nothing. Later, they blamed me, because she has always been their favorite. What none of them knew was this. I paid for every ticket, every hotel, every travel expense. So without shouting, without arguing, I quietly cancelled their flights and walked away. What happened next shocked everyone. I never thought a single moment could erase everything I believed about my family, but that's exactly what happened in Terminal B at Denver International Airport. 1 second, I was scrolling through our boarding passes, checking the gate number, making sure everyone was accounted for. The next, my sister's hand connected with my face so hard the sound echoed through the terminal like a dropped tray in a cafeteria. Conversations stopped. Rolling suitcases slowed. People turned. The sting on my cheek was sharp, but the real shock wasn't the slap, it was what came after. My parents rushed forward, not to check on me, not to ask if I was okay, but to demand, "What did you do to her, Kate?" Before I could even open my mouth, my sister Olivia collapsed into my mother's arms like she'd been rehearsing it for years. "She's been ruining everything," Olivia sobbed. "She's been controlling the whole trip." I finally snapped. And just like that, the verdict was delivered. Again. They didn't ask what happened. They didn't look at my face. They didn't question why my sister had just assaulted me in public. They believed her, because they always had. What they didn't know was that I had paid for every single part of the trip. The flights. The hotel. The rental car. The tours. And within minutes, I would make a decision that would leave them stranded, confused, and staring at departure screens in disbelief. My name is Kate Reynolds, and for most of my life, I've been known as the reliable one, the responsible daughter, the calm sister, the fixer, the one who never raises her voice, the one who never complains, the one who keeps the peace. It sounds like a compliment until you realize it's a cage. Growing up in suburban Colorado, Olivia was always the spark. Loud, expressive, emotional in ways my parents called passionate. She cried easily, laughed loudly, demanded attention without apology. I was the opposite. I observed. I adjusted. I carried weight quietly. If Olivia forgot something, I handled it. If she needed help, I stepped in. If my parents were stressed, they leaned on me. They told me I was mature for my age. What they didn't tell me was that maturity would become an expectation I was never allowed to put down. By the time I was 31, I worked as a financial operations manager for a healthcare firm. It was the kind of job that rewarded precision and calm, qualities I'd been practicing since childhood. It paid well. Well enough that when the idea of a family trip to Maui came up, everyone naturally looked at me. Not directly. Not openly. But it was understood. Olivia had been drifting between freelance gigs, finding herself, as my parents liked to say. My mom insisted she'd figure things out eventually. My dad said she just needed encouragement. When Olivia announced at Sunday dinner that she was treating everyone to a Hawaiian vacation, my parents' faces lit up like it was Christmas morning. My mother pressed a hand to her chest. My father laughed, loud and proud. "That's my girl," he said. Olivia beamed, and then glanced at me. Just a second. Just long enough. She smiled and mouthed, "Thank you." I smiled back, because that's what I did. Behind the scenes, I booked everything. Premium seats because my dad's knees hurt on long flights. 2 rooms because Olivia insisted she needed her space. An SUV rental because my mom hated compact cars. I told myself it was fine. I told myself it didn't matter who got credit. I told myself family wasn't transactional. But every time Olivia soaked in praise for something she didn't pay for, something tightened inside me. Every joke about me being too serious. Every comment about me liking control. Every time my parents dismissed my contributions as expected rather than appreciated. Still, I hoped this trip would be different. I told myself maybe being away together would soften things. Maybe a change of scenery would remind us that we were family, not roles. That's what I was thinking when we arrived at the airport. And that's what shattered the moment Olivia's hand struck my face. The sound was louder than I expected. The shock froze me in place. My cheek burned. My ears rang. "What did you do this time?" my father demanded. "I didn't," I started. "She's been micromanaging everything," Olivia cried. "She treats me like I'm incapable." My mother glared at me. "Kate, why can't you just let things go for once?" The words hit harder than the slap. Because I had let things go. 4 years. I stood there surrounded by strangers, my face throbbing, my heart sinking, watching the same script play out yet again. "Apologize," my father said. "We don't have time for this." That was the moment something inside me went quiet. Not angry. Not explosive. Clear. I realized nothing I had done, not the money, not the sacrifices, not the silence, had ever changed my place in this family. I asked for a minute and walked away. Not because I was weak, but because I was finally done begging to be seen. I stood near a row of vending machines, pressing my fingers gently against my cheek as the sting faded into something dull and heavy. People passed by without noticing me now. The spectacle was over. And in that quiet, something clicked into place. I pulled out my phone. Every confirmation email was there. Every receipt. Every reservation. Under my name. I wasn't trapped. I was funding the trap. The realization didn't come with rage. It came with calm. I opened the airline app and pulled up the reservation. 4 passengers. 1 payer. When the agent answered, her voice was polite and steady. "How can I help you today?" "I need to make a change," I said. And with a few quiet sentences, I cancelled 3 tickets. No shouting. No drama. Just a boundary that should have existed years ago. Then the hotel. 1 room instead of 2. The rental car. Downsized. The tours. Removed. With each call, I felt lighter. Not vindicated. Liberated. When I walked back to the gate, my family looked relaxed. Olivia laughed at her phone. My parents sat side by side, relieved the problem had walked away. "I'm boarding now," I said. My mother blinked. "This is your gate." "Not anymore." Confusion flickered across their faces. "I cancelled your tickets." Silence fell like a dropped curtain. My father stood. "You did what?" "I paid," I said calmly. "So I decided." They didn't yell at first. They panicked. Agents were called. Screens were checked. Reality confirmed. Olivia cried, this time for real. "I didn't mean it," she whispered. But meaning wasn't the point anymore. When my boarding group was called, my father blocked my path. "If you walk away, don't expect to come back." I met his eyes, steady and calm. "I stopped coming back years ago. You just didn't notice." I walked through the gate. On the plane, I sat by the window as the city shrank beneath us. For the first time I felt peace. Hawaii wasn't just a destination. It was a reset. I swam. I walked alone. I ate meals without apologizing for existing. When my parents eventually reached out, I listened, but I didn't rush to fix anything. Because for the first time in my life, the choice was mine. And that changed everything. Moral lessons. Sometimes the most powerful response is not confrontation, but withdrawal. Not everyone who smiles at you respects you, and not every family deserves your sacrifice. If you are the one who always gives, always pays, always stays quiet, remember this. Silence does not mean weakness. And boundaries are not betrayal. When people show you who they are, believe them, and choose yourself.